Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to DreamHack in Bucharest, and we are ready with the second game of the day. It's going to be Flipside and Cloud9, and everybody nearly signing up on the Cloud9 side. We've had a little bit of a break here. Did that break change your mind somehow?
No, I'm still definitely with Cloud9 here. I think they're definitely the firm favorites coming into this game, not just in terms of what we've seen since Automatic joined. They have a fantastic record on the NA side of the ESL Pro League, but additionally, the fact that Flipside, they struggle on train. So I think you add the two together, and this is looking like it should be a fairly one-sided map.
I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. Are Flipside going to try and play their default? You'd think, just based off of the stats, that if Cloud9 played sort of their normal game on this map, and if Flipside played their normal game, then probably Cloud9 would come out most of the time on top here. So if anyone had to sort of divert from the normal game, it almost have to be Flipside, right? They would have to be the ones who would have to try something different. So I'm going to be looking for them to try something crazy here.
No, that's a really good point. You know, they have to go for broke ultimately. They have to try and, you know, throw something out of left field and catch Cloud9 unaware. But I just don't think, we actually said this before we went on pause. You raised the idea that there just isn't enough firepower on Flipside. It would take either Cloud9 not to show up today, or something crazy, as we just mentioned, some strat that we haven't seen from Flipside before to bag them this win.
Well, the one thing they do have going for them as the game gets underway is the fact that they're starting on the CT side, which is great news for Flipside, especially if they can come out and win the pistol round. It looks like Cloud9 are taking the bomb over towards the B-bomb side, but you see they have members pretty much spread all over across the map. 2 smoke grenades and a couple of flashbangs. One is on nothing, the other one is on Skadoodle. So they could definitely pretend to end up doing an ace fake here, especially because you can tell the position of those 2 smokes are in a place where they could sort of smoke A, they could smoke off down towards Ivy and still go for it. They bring the bomb back though, so that suggests they're taking their time here.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not going to be rushing into anything just yet. We do have Zowie, of course, on the raid boss with the Tech 9, so he's definitely a player to watch out for. Expect him to go in first with Automatic and see how much havoc they can bring down on Flipside, but very, very slow round, as you mentioned, and now seemingly about to pull a trigger, Anders.
Yeah, smoke and a good one. That one landing down by Ivy. Some counter grenades coming out here, and they're leaving actually one between the trains, not on the bomb side itself, to try and see if they can get out and get a bit closer. The rotation is in. Shower's pretty far away, and that's a nice shot. Blade for the smoke, but World Edit going to be going down, and as you mentioned, that raid boss build on Stewie, only going to get the 1 kill though. Waylander shot him down, then Skadoodle nothing, coming back into it. Now a 2-on-3 here, and Shower and Markelov left on Flipside.
Bomb will get planted on the other side of the train to Markelov, so we can't stop this. So now firmly in favor of Cloud9. But what can Shara and Markelov do? Neither of them have bagged themselves a frag so far in this round. So they'd have to break that duck, and Markelov's gone down. Shara with it all to do ahead of him. 3 separate locations being held down by Cloud9, and it's unlikely he's going to get much more than maybe just the 1 frag. And it's not even going to be that. Nothing. Puts him down with these dispatches of the first round, and Cloud9 will take it.
Very nicely done. And I mean, it's sort of it's just a tactical difference. That smoke that goes down between the trains, it could have been sort of put down for them to plant, but you could tell they thought we can get control of the bomb site by doing this. So instead of just, you know, playing for the afterplant, we're actually going to try and get into a great position. So really well done from Cloud9, and that's just going to leave a bit of a sour taste in Flipside's mouth here. They do buy some Deagles, 3 of them in fact, and 3 UMPs on Cloud9.
Yeah, going for that farming frenzy. Galil AK. Of course, it's going to be in the hands of Shroud. Guy's the turret, what he wants to be. Smokes are going to force out Flipside into the open, and I'd expect some frags to follow suit. They do have Deagles. Those 1-taps are very much alive and real, but no longer is the case, as just Markelov and Shara remain a carbon copy of the last round, except a lot more firepower against them, and it's all on Markelov this time to try and clutch.
Confidence building round from Cloud9, not losing anyone so far. Everything seemed to be working pretty much perfectly. And Markelov, this is an interesting position if they're coming down sort of the back wall there, but if they're walking up the side of the train, probably not going to be quite as good, and he ends up going down to Automatic. So 2 rounds for Cloud9 and losing nobody here, and yeah, just going to be sticking with the same equipment, obviously. Flipside should be in for another beating in this round.
Certainly should. Should be mentioned as well that Flipside do love to run double AWP setups on this map. Markelov and World Edit normally pick it up for themselves, so that'll be something else in the back of their minds, you know, going through into the next round. Having a look at the economy, they can probably force 1 out if they want to go glass cannon, but other than that, it is going to be M4s. So decisions to be made. Of course, there's some frags coming here, Anders. Everything can change. And it is a stack on A. All 5 players. I like seeing this from teams, just going for the gamble. You know, it's very unlikely on a standard setup you're going to get much done with USPs and a couple P250s.
Yeah, you really will need everyone to be at the same spot to have an impact here. Nothing should be going down. Actually going to pick up a kill with him there, going for a little bit more. Finally, he's out of the round, but obviously Cloud9 having a really good decision in that round, going for the B-bomb site, so everything is working out just fine.
It sure is. Waylander would like to save onto that Galil if possible, I'm sure, because then that opens up a couple more areas and options. We were just discussing this before, that on paper it was looking like maybe an AWP and a couple of M4s and not many grenades, but now saving the Galil definitely does give them a little bit more power, and if they can save 2 weapons, then all the better for it. It's just the UMP, the AK still in the hands of Shroud, but looking like Flipside may very well take 2 weapons out of this. And the UMP, one of the best SMGs, so it's not a huge downgrade from an M4.
No, I suspect they will just stick with that. I think that's not necessarily a crazy choice. World Edit. I do expect him to sort of be swapping out for the AWP, and that's exactly what he does. So we'll see how that works out. They actually do throw away the UMP. I can think of a bunch of teams that would have stuck with it, and that would have just gone for it. So that maybe suggests that they realize this is a tough match for them. They're not going to leave any chances for anything here.
I suppose the mentality maybe is to build their foundations with, you know, something strong, as opposed to going with the UMP and potentially losing a player or 2, even if they win the round. But opting this way does mean they're lacking a couple more grenades. So be curious to see if that's what's going to bite them in the rear end. Waylander playing aggro in Pop Dog. But as we can see, we have the benefit of the minimap. It is by and large going to be a stack towards B. And once those smokes start connecting, that's when all hell will break loose. And let's hope Flipside have something to retaliate against this, because at the moment, they do have 2 players here. It's going to be both Shara and Markelov, but here comes all of that utility. Stewie 2K is taking point with the UMP and completely rips through Shara. Markelov did get a frag beforehand, but that is the B side taken. It's all going to be on the rotation of Waylander now for me if they want to try and pull this off.
Stewie trying to control the front of the bomb site there, which is not a bad idea, but he only had the UMP and he was going to get caught out. So now 3-on-3 with the bomb down, and we'll see if Flipside can retake this bomb site. By no means an easy task. The one thing is Cloud9 are kind of out of grenades. They don't have any Molotov or anything to throw in from the high ground, but you can see Flipside are taking quite a long time right here. They're waiting for Waylander, and that's going to be in vain. He gets shot in the face by the AK, and it's down to World Edit having to run away with that AWP. What a great start for Cloud9. All those grenades made it almost impossible for Shara and Markelov to stand anywhere in that bomb site. That just worked out great.
As solid a take as you could ask for, honestly. Textbook stuff from Cloud9, and you know, going to reap the rewards with the 4th round. The AWP will get saved by World Edit, so that is a slight saving grace. A silver lining to the dark cloud looming overhead, but it's probably only going to be the AWP. They have mid-3000s. Markelov has 4.9, so maybe the
Eagles
may go in. Yeah, this goes back to what I was saying before. I think they really want that double AWP in the next round. They really do rotate a lot around that.
Yeah, I think this is reasonable. Like the alternative in buying Mag 7s and FAMASas and stuff just doesn't seem worth it at this point. Yeah. Maybe just try and hold on to what you can. It is 4 rounds for Cloud9. It could be a 5th here, looking likely. But even then, you know, you could still have a good half year on train. So I think it's not too bad for Flipside to try and just to play it a little bit safe here.
And Cloud9 playing it smart as well. I mean, they could have had half a mind that maybe a force buy was imminent, but they're not going to take any chances. They're sitting back, bombs drop, declaration of intent of not going anywhere too aggressively just yet. And still plenty of time to play with. Flipside, it surprises me that someone isn't trying to play aggressively and maybe seek for some information, see if they can get a cheeky pick.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that too, just a little bit. I mean, over at that B-bomb side, they did get caught pretty much off guard. World Edit is down, and so is the AWP. But Waylander and Blade have got 2 kills in return somehow, and that's interesting, just with the pistols alone out in the open here. Automatically got to be a bit careful that he doesn't get sniped with a deagle. It looks like Cloud9 are coming out on top here. Markelov and Shara left, just trying to hold on, and that's not going to happen. It will be another round. That's 5 in a row for the American team. And they've got to be feeling really confident right now. 7 kills on nothing, 6 on Stewie. So interesting start here.
Yeah, and as we highlighted, it is going to be double AWPs. Markelov picking up the second one. I was curious if they'd still go with that, with dropping the AWP in that round, but they did have enough funds. They have invested everything into this round. The only player with more than a couple $100 is Shara with 1.2k. Full round loss bonus is coming up And if they were to lose this round, they're not going to have a great amount of economy to play with in the next one. And Markelov tries to tee off from Connector. Isn't going to get anything done, but a lot of information has been gathered. The flashbang right in the face of Blade. He's also burning alive, but somehow gets a kill before falling. That's a pretty important trade.
Skadoodle there with a shot as well, and World Edit going to be going down. Waylander now up on the train alone and surrounded. He's going to drop to Stewie, and that will be Cloud9 with a 6th round. So just imagine for a moment, Metis, the one round where they pick up, and as you correctly predicted, the double op setup, that's when they rush the courtyard. And that double op, I mean, both World Edit and Markelov were in pretty uncomfortable positions to try and use those orbs, and there was just too much smoke going down. That's just very nice timing from Cloud9 to pull that strat.
You know, I actually feel that Cloud9 have just watched Flipside and they know exactly what's coming up there. Because you look at their execute, that's almost the perfect counter to double ops. They couldn't see a single thing. The shots were going through smoke, they're going through blinded. And now, Flipside 6-0 into a couple of pistols and not much else. Cloud9 could not have had a better start.
Shaping up well this round too. Finally, a headshot from World Edit to bring down nothing. And I'm surprised Automatic actually lived through that because he was really low on the Deagle. And I think Blade was trying to follow up with a sort of a 5-7 there and just couldn't land the kill. It is going to be Waylander all on his own. And in a 1-on-3 here. So obviously it's going to be 7-0 for Cloud9. They have been looking strong recently.
Yep.
And in this tournament, you would think that they've got to be feeling fairly confident about making maybe all the way even.
For me, they're definitely in the top 3.
Yeah.
Which, if you go back a few months ago, would have sounded like madness, lunacy. But now, the way Automatic's been fitting in, and of course it's not just Automatic, but he seems to have been the perfect pick for Cloud9. They have been unbelievably strong online, but it always comes back to that whole argument of, okay, online's one thing, on LAN's an entirely different entity, it's an entirely different beast. Can they perform at LAN? So far, yes. But Flipside I don't think it's necessarily unfair to say they're one of the weaker teams here in this tournament.
Yes, I think so. Like Dem and Gambit probably towards the bottom. There are some big unknowns. Like I don't know how strong Envy are going to be, for instance. But yeah, definitely Cloud9 on a hot streak right now. Going to win the round and make it 7-0. And I mean, just speaking about Automatic, you know, there's obviously sort of the idea of his individual level, but it's also impossible for us on the outside to predict how it's going to change the team chemistry internally when someone joins in. Maybe he has a particular way of being. Maybe other people start to get motivated and more, you know, they play better. There are lots of X factors like that are very hard to quantify. We are back with the double AWP though. Markelov and World Edit. And so far, not a single round for Flipside. That has got to change basically right now.
The biggest surprise to me is that Markelov hasn't gone towards Ali a few more times. He typically likes to peek that, but is more stationary on the site itself and allowing World Edit to play that. So a bit of a switch around, but nonetheless, 7-0, can't really argue with that. And I think it's a really good point you raise, actually, that having 5 of the best individual players in the world, theoretically, doesn't necessarily make the best team. And we've seen this happen time and time again, where a team on paper that should be godlike very rarely live up to those high expectations.
Yeah, maybe one of the worst examples is the much famed Astana Dragons back in the day that just never made it to where they should have been, interestingly enough.
Chemistry is so important, like it's such an underrated aspect of teamwork.
It really is. It's very hard to define or sort of quantify exactly how it works out. We do have Waylander pushed up really close to the edge here, and now it's just a question of timing. Automatic and Shroud on the other side. Waylander trying to get that flick in, but not going to happen. Shroud will take him out. Automatic pushing up the Molotov there to force Waylander back a little bit, and it's just all Cloud9 right now. Flipside, they certainly were trying to, you know, be the aggressors there. They were trying to take the initiative in, but it just isn't working. Shara and Markelov just have to hide.
I wonder at what point Flipside think about pressing the pause button here, because this is getting out of control really, really fast. That snowball is gathering pace going down the mountain. Now, saving really is the only slight victory that Flipside can take, and already at an 8-0 deficit. I don't even want to think about what's going through their minds right now.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of horribly, we were pointing out that that they needed a strong start Flipside, and that Cloud9 maybe could fight it back even if they had a bad start. But with this kind of a start, I don't even know what it would take to bring them back into the game here. About to be 8-0. At least they are doing a good job of making this round expensive, but that's just like very, very small silver lining here for the Flipside team. They managed to save 2 guns. They can obviously buy up. They've got an incredible round loss bonus build up. Not much is happening right now. I mean, look at the scoreboard as well. It's Waylander and Blade getting 6 and 4 kills, but then Markelov, well did it. Shower, they're practically not there.
Yeah, which of course has to change on a CT side, like Train. I mean, there's only so much you can do, even if you're pulling off a godlike performance. If the rest of your team aren't supporting you, I mean, it's pretty much just rip. So it's kind of what we're seeing so far. Cloud9 getting the entries where it counts. This time, maybe about to mix things up. It is going to be Stewie going off by his lonesome up box halls. See if he can get something done on B. The rest of the team around Pop, and well, there you go. He does get a pick. Headshot to Markelov.
What do you do at that point? You know, just got to shake your head and think, well, I don't know what's happening. Stewie walking up there, Shara walking right in front of his crosshairs, and that's the second headshot. Grenade does come through, and it actually takes out automatic. Somehow, Stewie is still alive up there, and bomb about to go down. They're actually going to cancel it for a moment, just checking the bomb site here. And walking around down on site, Waylander, if he could have got a kill, maybe there would have been a chance here, but now it's a 2-1-4. Stewie spraying away, looking for the third kill. Even with this little health, he's still incredibly aggressive and trying to just lead a charge into the bomb side, and Flipside are going to give up again and just walk away from it. That's going to make it 9-0 in favor of Cloud9. Wow.
Just shows the confidence of Stewie. Plus, he's got 9.4k, so even if he did die there, easily able to replenish his fallen weapon. So Cloud9 now have a massive buffer. Confidence will be oozing through them. Flipside, very much the polar opposite, I think it's safe to say. I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic here and think of ways they can claw their way back into this game. I'm just mainly surprised they haven't paused, honestly.
Yes, I mean, if you were going to use the pause as a way to save your team from mentally collapsing, it feels like at 9-0, it might be too late. You know, it's very hard to keep up like a really good mood. And, you know, once you've heard your teammates say for like, you know, 5 or 6 rounds in a row, don't worry, we'll bring it back any day now. If it's 9 rounds in a row, someone saying that, eventually you just want to tell them to shut up and say, don't say that anymore, you know. It isn't working.
And they've gone for these double ops now 3 or 4 times, and I'm not sure I remember World Edit or Markelov landing more than 1 or 2 AWP frags. I mean, this has been depressing to watch if you're a Flipside fan.
And almost always when the round is essentially almost over, right? Like, never rest the entry frag, never rest the first kill in the round, and that's what they need right now. They need to get into that good 4 versus 5 situation where they could feel comfortable. Counter flashes are coming out right now, but just like no peek behind them. There could have been someone there on the ladder. They could have tried different things. They're being very passive, and there's finally Markelov picking up a kill, and Shara turning it around and helping out. Automatic is going to be down, and that's a good start.
Yeah, solid start. One of the first times we've seen Flipside get the opening pick and then convert it into a second, but when you have Scoodle, Shroud, and nothing, and the way the Cloud9 have been playing, wouldn't write them off. Although, that being said, it is the 2 players that you're looking for entries from. So this is a rough ask for the rest of Cloud9 at this point.
It looks like they are going to try and just pull off some sort of execute here with the Molotovs as well, trying to force out the most common positions. The flip side could definitely play this one way more defensively. They have them in advantage. They could even go for the retake. Shara, an important kill, and Markelov helping out. So that's going to be the first round on the board for Flipside. 1-9. So a very, very long road ahead. Even if they won every round from here on out in this half, still be very hard for them to get back and win the game.
And realistically, that's what they're going to have to do to have any chance here. Win the next bunch of rounds, next 5, and then win the second pistol. They've just reset their round loss bonus, so if Cloud9 win this, we could be getting into seriously painful territory. No pressure, Flipside.
None at all. I mean, you got to think in this group, though, Flipside realized Cloud9 is going to be one of the really tough ones to beat. So maybe they could sort of justify it to themselves and say, we've got at least maybe 1 or 2 more chances here. Waylander going to be going down automatic with a great entry frag. Stewie does fall, but Shroud is there to pick it up. Blade going down afterwards. And that's a great 2-for-1 trade, heavily favoring Cloud9 now. A little bit of a friendly Molotov coming in, but they're just going to be waiting to put that bomb down. And Flipside going to have such a hard time retaking this.
Especially as their economy is in ruins. But the bomb's been dropped by Shara, and now it's going to give them a chance. Out of nowhere, seemingly. In the blink of an eye, this round becomes winnable again. Although Automatic will put the hammer down, bringing it into a 2-on-2. The bomb is still not planted, hasn't been salvaged by either of the Cloud9 players. Will let it still on the Ivy side. And Markelov with the other AWP, looking to come through connector. This is going to be rough, Anders. 2 AWPs on a retake, never an ideal position to be in. But that's one hell of a way to start things off. Oh,
Wow.
hello.
Yes, so, I mean, you are absolutely right. And that was going to be my next point as well. Just the fact that if Shara doesn't cancel that bomb plant, suddenly they really are going into a sort of a 4-on-3 retake with 2 AWPs. That's almost impossible. So, heads up play by Shara, sort of saving his teammates from that position. And then Cloud9, I mean, I don't think they realized exactly where Flipside were. So, it's hard to even say that they should have stayed put because they had no idea where they could walk and not walk. If they had some intel about Markelov being in C connector, then I think that would have made it really rough on Flipside. So just the surprise factor there. Now they're going to go for an A rush. Cloud9 out in the yard here. Flipside picking up 2 rounds and looking for a third. And World Edit picking up a good shot there on automatic, but he's going to go down. So much speed behind this push, and now it's a 3-on-3.
Fantastic early aggression, lovely to watch, but Cloud9 are coming out worse for wear in this trade. Skadoodle up against it, 1v2. He has an AWP and an M4 to face off against, but he's got so much time. Minute and 20 still. He has the utility. He's just popped his smoke, throwing over towards Ivy. And now going to be dropping down onto A. Still got his molly flashing and will be trying to fake out a player, but no one's biting from the CTs just yet. Oh, he's going B, next level.
This is the sort of play that's only possible when you have this much time left.
Yeah.
If he's got 30 seconds, it's very tough to do this. But he's just going to go for the bomb plant here. Are they going to realize? Actually, Shara going down the ladder and still checking. They have no idea. Oh my God, Metis. They're actually still checking the A bomb site. What is happening?
So much time is being burnt right now. They're still not going onto the site. Flipside, please.
Oh my God. Now they finally realize we have been duped, and Skadoodle in a very interesting position right now. He's got the Molotov, so if he gets even 1 kill here, he could stop the defuse from even happening. He's now out in the open. He's being sandwiched in right now. There's the bang off the wall, and he goes for the shot. He's going to miss it. Did it land on the bomb? I'm not even sure. Markov, oh no! He's going to burn alive, and now it's up to Shara. He's not going to get it. What a clutch from Skadoodle.
Shara had a smoke the whole time. He had a smoke the whole time. He could have banked it off the wall like Skadoodle did. What is life, Anders?
I don't think they realized too late what was happening. He could have maybe Markov's.
After he gets the kill, he could have thrown the smoke right then and there.
Oh my God, that's so painful to watch. That's a imagine how hard that clutch is to win. AWP in a 1-on-2, you sneak in through C connector. Flipside, if they weren't already crashing, that has got to put the whole team on tilt all at once. Waylander here playing smartly inside the smoke, and look at nothing. He thought he'd already checked that angle, but just really good use of smoke there. But automatic picking up 2 kills in return, and Shara very low on health out in the open. He's going to be going down, and Markelov alone.
Yeah, this is asking a little bit too much. I'm sure the inner Markelov fanboy would love him to clutch this 1v3, but with the bomb planted and the positions as well for Cloud9, I mean, this is almost perfect to fend off the push. I just don't see Markelov getting much from this. Maybe a kill, but that's probably all she wrote for around 13.
Yeah, there's nothing to be done in this situation. Again, Train is one of those maps where once, especially out here on A, but B is not a lot better. Once the bomb is down, the amount of angles you have to cover and try and sort of, check to even begin to think about defusing the bomb, it's almost unmanageable. So in a 1-on-3 like that, unless they're all fighting you and just keep fighting you, there's not a lot you can do. So, yeah, 11-2 and a complete economic reset very nearly here from Flipside. They do actually buy at least an M4 on World Edit here, so I'm curious about that one. 14th round.
Yeah, plus it's not even equalizing the economy. He's down to $0. Yeah. So this is a power play. And why the hell not? When you're at this much of a deficit, you've got to go for broke. Unfortunately, though, he will meet his demise courtesy of an AK headshot.
I mean, if you are going to buy the crazy tilting solo M4A1, I would at least advise that you also hit some shots with it. I feel like that's the next step. Buy the gun and then shoot the people on the other team.
I feel like that needs to make an appearance in the next theory crafting video.
Yeah.
Like if you buy an M4 after tilting your face off, maybe hit a couple shots.
Yeah, I don't know if tilt M4 is necessarily a real term, but tilt AWP certainly is. That happens on a regular basis. So, all right, I'll buy an AWP. But you're not even the AWPer. Buy one anyway. So that means now he's going into a round with a 5-7, and the rest of his team can buy something, but he can't. So just a curious and an odd position. Could have been miscommunication. Maybe someone said goodbye, and he thought, I'll buy, and don't know. It's 12-2 right now, and we're heading into the 15th round, and Flipside not looking very good.
Nothing with the first frag as well. It's going to be him trying to come out of Pop Dog and see what he can do. Flipside actually have got the player advantage in this round. But again, it just feels like a drop in the ocean. Honestly, even if Flipside take this round, they're moving through into their T half with only 3. I mean, that is unbelievably a steep hill to climb.
Yeah, it definitely is. Shara is also far enough back on the site that even if they try to sort of rush in there, he should be able to buy some time for teammates to show up. So Cloud9 could be giving up a 3rd round here to Flipside unless, unless they could get a really good entry without anything being retaliated. But Markolov is there to back up Shara as well. This is a good setup for Flipside overall.
It's a good setup for sure, but can Cloud9 crack it? 2 players on B for Flipside. Skadoodle trying to push down without any grenades and trying to catch off guard. And look how much ground he's covered. But Shara is good for a frag. It's straight out courtesy of Nothing. And now Shroud and Nothing in a post-plant scenario are 2-on-3, and that 5-7 still in play. They haven't managed to convert that into an M4.
No Molotovs in play this time for Cloud9, though, and that's going to maybe help Flipside out a little bit. Nothing close on the bomb side. He's going to be going down, so 5-7 definitely working out this time around. Shroud only going to get the 1 kill, and that will be the end of it. Flipside to pick up a 3rd round here. So, I mean, they made the most out of that round, Cloud9, but ultimately the first half is going to finish 12-3 in favor of Cloud9. I want to sound excited. I want to sound like at least they got that, you know, it's the first step in the right direction, all the other sort of memes that we can come up with, but it doesn't seem like there's really any chance.
No, I think if you're being honest, there really is no hope here. The pistol is the first of many hurdles they need to navigate over.
Yeah.
And Cloud9 would have to have a massive error in judgment multiple times. I just don't see it happening. They're playing way too solid Counter-Strike at this point.
And we don't even have the pistol round done with for the second half. I mean, obviously, that's going to be the first indication. If Cloud9 win that, then there's not even anything to talk about. Flipside have set themselves up for an absolutely epic comeback. If they did it, then certainly the publicity would be worth it.
I like your optimism. You're trying to see the positives here.
Maybe their sponsors went to them and said, can you try and go down 12-3 and then win it back? We'd really like the clicks, you know, we'd really like the... It'd be great for us.
It'd be one of the best comebacks I've seen in recent memory.
Yeah, not playing to win, just playing for sort of maximum entertainment.
It's like the ultimate CS Rocky Balboa story. You know, getting wrecked and then suddenly come back. Brain damage, of course, but it's worth it.
It's definitely worth it. 16th round coming up here. Second match of the day here at DreamHack in Bucharest. And we've got Cloud9 and Flipside, actually mostly Cloud9, playing a really good game right now. It's nice to see, you know, they were predicted to being sort of one of the favorites, and they're delivering on all fronts.
Yeah, something we said about VP before, I mean, the plow nearly came off its rails towards the end, is a team that sometimes starts slow, and having a fantastic first map could make all the difference to their confidence. So that could absolutely be the case here, Cloud9. If they end up taking this 16-3, as I said before, they wrecked Heroic recently 16-2 on Train, so it wouldn't be a fluke. It's not the first time we've seen them do this. And what a fantastic podium that puts them on, effectively saying, okay, we're here to stay, the rest of you now have to perform. The likes of Envious, who have massive question marks above them, will they show up, won't they?
Yeah, and it's interesting because not that many teams have sort of claimed Train to be their own. It seems like it's sort of a free-for-all. Sometimes, you know, there are teams that are good at it, but then they sort of, you know, still end up losing random matches. So we'll see if maybe Cloud9 could be that team. Blade going to be picking up 2 good kills there to start it off with. Stewie and Skadoodle out of the round. Shroud with a reply, and it's now a 2-on-3, and somehow Shara and Markolov are the only ones left. Markolov coming out, only a Glock in hand and 2 people to fight. He's getting a little bit of backup. They got them sandwiched in. Shara picks up 1. Markolov there for the other one. Oh, it takes a long time, but he does get it. And now it's automatic in a 1-on-2. Oh, and now a 1-on-1 takes down Shara. Looking for another headshot. Automatic. Gonna finish the round with a double kill. What can you really say about that? It's gonna be the end of the round and a 13-3 scoreline.
A part of me wants to go shake Automatic's hand. Another part of me wants to maybe slap a couple of Flipside members across the face to allow that clutch to happen. I mean, there was a couple moments there where Frag should have been finished off way easier and they just weren't. And I feel like that could have been a determining factor into the round. Take nothing away from Automatic and Cloud9, but flip side, if they're on form, I think they win that round, like hands down.
I just feel like when they win that sort of 2v2 in the corner, it feels like this sort of adrenaline from that situation just spills over and they just kind of keep going, right? They had plenty of time. They were in a 2v1. Yeah. They could have slowed it down to a halt and just said, let's wait. Do we know anything about where he is? Where could he possibly be, you know? And then go for it. It seemed like they were maybe a little bit too fast to just go for the fight. And that can happen when you've just had a, you know, crazy fight like that.
Oh yeah, it can definitely happen when you've been on the receiving end of a battering for the best part of, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And when you do finally have something go your way, you go overboard. You go all in. But Cloud9, bringing us back to the present, have a 10-round lead. And that should very much go to an 11-round lead. But hold on a second. That one tap was a bit tasty. Nothing will answer back. And with a second frag, now the round will be slipping away.
It's such a shame, you know. That inspires some confidence, right? You see such a clean kill, and then it just doesn't go anywhere. Stewie even shooting Waylander after he's dead. You know, there's been some talk about that in the past, you know. Is it bad-mannered? Is it actually hilarious? You know.
Maybe both.
Maybe both, depending on who you are. I know Happy used to love doing it, especially to get right. So there was it has a history, time and a place. 14-3 here, and the 18th round underway. Flip side, they're going to go all in here. They pretty much have to.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about it. They have to go all in at this point. Went for the eco last round so they could get somewhat of a decent buy up here. But the problem is, even if they take this round, there has to be so many more afterwards. It's not a case of one and done.
You see the small little trick that they put in there where Automatic standing in the foreground and then they have a teammate shooting at the wall from the background, and that's something you'd normally do if you didn't have anyone there.
Yep.
So it's sort of just a way to mentally try and trick the terrorist players into thinking there's not going to be anyone holding close stairs because they just wall banged it from a distance. So why would they do that? You know, obviously they know about that trick too, but you know, if you're not thinking clearly, that's a mistake you could definitely make.
Oh, is that going to be the push through smoke? Skadoodle, flashbang in the face, couldn't do a single thing. It's Blade that will get the kill for himself. And a second one's the flip side, refusing to go down without a fight. Blade with actually 4 frags in quick succession without losing a single point of health. And maybe they can at least get an ace under their belt. That Shroud is just chilling on the A side.
Well, I mean, maybe Blade has just decided if we're going to get back here, I'm going to have to do all of it, you know?
Yep.
Get ace a couple of, you know, maybe 5 or 6 more rounds, and then we're good to go.
He's just hoping he's leading by example, that someone else is going to pick it up afterwards.
I like that.
22 for 11, nothing on top.
Yeah, I mean, Blade has been having a really good game. Just not just these 4 kills, but he's up to 14 total now. So he was already at the top of the scoreboard before that. And Shroud are going to be sneaking in. Oh, kind of hoping for the ace, but it's not going to happen. Still, what a round and what a way to make an entrance. The only issue is that a round you can necessarily repeat, you know. It's not you can say, that worked great, Blade, do it again, you know. Like, that's not going to happen. It's almost better. It's almost more confidence building if you won a round with a really good execute that you know you can repeat. You found the weakness in their setup and you know you can keep exploiting that until they fix it. This is not necessarily easy to repeat.
Completely agreed. If one step goes the other way, Blade may have got fragged instantly. And this should be a bloodbath. I say should be a bloodbath, but the first 3 kills have gone the way of Cloud9. This round pretty much sums up the entire map in a nutshell. Flipside start to get some momentum, and Cloud9 cut them down. Ruthless aggression.
And what a great piece of aggression it was. Just pushing a lot of people up the slope in B, but then Stewie coming in from the ladder and just being straight in behind them. Obviously very interesting and very hard for Flipside to do anything about. Because as soon as they take the engagement on the stairwell there, they're all focused on that.
Yeah.
And they forget about the other part of the map. Bomb is down though, and see if they can maybe follow through here, Flipside, and actually win the round.
And also already we're seeing a massive gulf in difference between how Cloud9 approached their CT side and Flipside. Flipside never did something like this. Not a single time. And they were getting battered throughout, so they are a team that do struggle to maybe change things up on the fly. Markelov lands the point-blank range execution frag onto Stewie 2K in heaven. They know this, but it's such a good place when you have this much utility. The bomb is being diffused in amongst the smoke and very nearly does get diffused. Nothing has a kit. This is going to be close. I don't think he has it. Or does he? He just about has it. Cloud9 move one step closer to winning on a razor's edge with the balls.
Oh, man. I mean, you think sometimes it's just, you know, a couple of small things, right? But if at least the bomb could have gone out, you feel like they deserve just a little bit of goodwill there where, you know, just a little bit of luck. It just isn't working here. 15-4, and Cloud9 now with their own double AWP setup here. Skadoodle and Stewie, so they are going a similar path as to Flipside in this round. They just need one more round out of the next 10, basically. So that's going to be scary.
Oh, yeah. That's certainly one way to put it. Incendiary not doing really any damage, but it does isolate the two terrorists. You could see what nothing was going for, but it just backfires. Well, then it's not able to convert the pixel that he saw peek round the corner. But still, that first frag is going to give them something to work with. How do Cloud9 react, though?
Still pretty much all in the A bomb site, so they're actually just giving up on B and saying maybe leave Stewie behind to sort of watch a little bit, but mainly we hope to be defending the A bomb site. And that's not a bad choice if you think about it sort of from a mathematical point of view here. You know, if they put 2A to B right now, then half the team is going to be playing 2v5. You know, wherever the attack happens, you're going to be at a huge deficit. Almost better to just say, let's see if they can't just win this right now by a quick A push. But it seems like Flipside have caught onto it, or at least thinking that B is the safer option right now.
Yeah, especially when you have such a massive buffer of rounds, it does allow you to be a bit more free in the side of Cloud9's hands, and it's going to be Stewie by himself. Gives his position away, does land a shot on the cross, however. And this keeps the dream alive for Cloud9, retaking all the damage that Stewie can do. And it's just boosting their retake potential. Flashbang over, they now only have one to play with. They do have two kits, and will let it misses out on one, won't make the same mistake twice. Stewie 2K, and automatic though, raining in frags. Stewie with another one, he's got 3 in this round, and Blade doesn't even have a volley to bounce off the wall. He very nearly gets the frag on Stewie. He switches to the Molotov, and now Blade's off, scampering away. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1. It's going to be a defuse, and Cloud9 are going to take the map 16-4.
And what could he have done, Blade? I mean, the only other option was try and fight in the Molotov, so he had to just try and make a run for it and hope they weren't straight defusing. It looked a bit silly, but ultimately just an extremely well-prepared Cloud9 team here, rocking Flipside, and maybe, I think, setting a sort of a precedent for people just banning this map against them. That's a very impressive performance.
As I said coming into this, they had a hiccup against Flipside, but by and large, their train recently has been very solid. Up until that loss, I don't think they'd lost more than 11 rounds on this map.
That's going to be, I think, very interesting to see how that goes sort of moving forward. If any of the other teams in this group are going to allow that map to stay in, or if they're going to try and just ban it out straight away. Certainly setting the bar really high here in this group. I think Cloud9's got to be the team to beat right now.
Oh, absolutely. I think that now gives me more reason to believe they'll at least get in towards, like, you know, the top 3 in the semi-finals, at the very least. I think these guys have every opportunity to go the distance. I will still want to see what the rest of the teams have to offer, the likes of Envious, for example. But Pro started great, but kind of wavered towards the end, so I'm not entirely sold on them just yet. So more things to come up.
Yeah, I'm really interested, and I would like to know, I mean, a little bit about the veto process. If they were surprised that sort of Flipside, you know, they did allow this map to sort of get in here, right? If they could have maybe done a better choice, banning something else instead of some of the maps they did. Certainly a very powerful performance, and nothing playing really well. Even though it's, as the desk we're talking about, sort of the analysts were bringing up earlier, he has been transitioning into a little bit more of a supportive role and has been sort of welcoming that a bit more, it seems. But, you know, playing really well this game, getting a lot of frags.
Yeah, I guess it does loosen up a lot of the load off your shoulders when the rest of your team's playing well. But that's enough from us too. We do have an interview lined up with Paolo on the desk. Take it away.
We are live, Jordan, on the stage. Congratulations, sir, on that matchup. How you feeling?
Good, good. Nice to get him back on train after Star Ladder.
Yeah, I mean, you know, after that, coming in here, how are you feeling?
Pretty good. We were really upset how we composed ourselves versus NIP. They just outclassed us. We never felt like we got a chance to get in the match after the Dust 2 game. So Flipside's a tough team. They play better on land. People were surprised we picked train, so it was exciting for us to come back because we lost both pistols at Star Ladder on train, which didn't get into a groove, so we were still pretty confident.
Yeah, that was a pretty, strong performance by you guys. How did you manage to pull that off?
I think last time they beat us, they took the site very simply a couple times in ways that is kind of easily countered, and we lost both pistols. So what we did is okay, if you could read between the lines and see how you lost, even though the score was 16-8 for them, the rounds they were winning were pretty straightforward. They were exploding on Stewie and catching him off guard, a couple picks outside. Me and Shroud double pushed Ivy, caught us off guard. So without those little mistakes and a pistol round win, and this time we got both pistols, it was as we expected.
I think quite a few people kind of have you guys on the cards as potential winners of this tournament, kind of up there with a few of the other teams. What do you think you guys' chances are of taking this whole event?
Pretty good. I mean, it'd be nice to get the win. I think we have the confidence to do so. If we could minimize the mistakes and play with that resilience of a team like NIP and really just bring that poise, then we could definitely win. If we get to semis again and we play like we did in the last tournament, we're not going to win anything. So.
All right, well, best of luck, and I may very well be speaking to you on the stage again at some point in the rest of the tournament. Any final words?
Thanks for the interview, Paula. Good looking out, and thanks to the fans here. Appreciate it.
There we go. Thank you, everybody. We will head back over to the desk.
Thanks very much, Paula. Appreciate it.
Jordan's been getting those gnarly barrels I was talking
Yeah, that was
about
pretty gnarly. That was pretty Aussie.
Getting pitted in the
He's going to be
green
wearing
room.
his thongs on stage next.
It's obviously because Ronaldinho announced his retirement. That was his thing.
Oh.
That was his thing as well. We're not all fully aware of the complete depth of...
Well, it's not like footy is a big
I thought it
thing
meant hang
in
loose.
the UK, is it?
I don't know.
I just watched Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I'm a CSGO born and bred. But let's go ahead and start talking a little bit about that game, because I do think that interview actually did shed quite a fair few, answer a fair few questions that we outlined in the pre-match, right? You were talking about the fact that the veto did surprise us on the desk, and Jordan addressed it just by saying, yeah, everything kind of didn't go our way, we didn't hit our groove. Does that make sense to you, Chad, from a player's perspective? Sometimes you just have a game that doesn't work, and you know what you did wrong, but when you go into a game?
Yeah, they outlined their mistakes and they prepared for it, and in the end, they came out better for it. They had two, when they played on the weekend, the other two maps they played were dominant. So, that's why I picked them to win the game today.
Yes, are you proud of yourself?
I am. I'm getting things right now.
You've got 2 lines next to your name now.
That's cool.
That's 2 predictions he's got.
I'm very
right.
happy.
He's still green, he doesn't know how it can all go down real fast.
Well, I mean, if you know what's funny is you have Janko, who is a man who absolutely hates predictions, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and now we have Chad, who's proud.
Still right, of course.
Still right, you were. But I mean, I don't think you would have predicted a 16-4.
No, true. I think that obviously Jordan put it very nicely there. One of the reasons why I thought the train wasn't that good of a map for them was for their style, right? Because on train, sometimes you have to go for that slow default, wait out the grenades from the CTs, then make a good read whether you're going to go inner or outer bomb site. And C9 completely countered that by going for fast pace executes early on. First gun round towards the B bomb site, second gun round towards the A bomb site. And obviously, it's much easier for you to go for those fast pace executes when you win the pistol round, because then you have some, leeway in case that doesn't work. You can still buy up. You can still have another gun round to work with. When you lose pistol, then you have to play it a bit safer, because if you're down 5-0 T-side train, you're probably not going to get more than 4 rounds at best.
But I mean, it must be so intimidating to be sitting there on the CT side of train and just watching a team walk over you on their attacking side, right? Like, that was just such an unnervingly confident performance from Cloud9.
Yeah, well, the CT side economy it's a cruel mistress.
Yeah.
But the thing that I was impressed with was how Flipside handled it. They actually had so many rounds where they had still had 2 AWPs, or they had decent guns and decent utility, and that's because even though they were losing, they were holding on to guns, or they were taking proper ecos. They didn't do force buys, which it didn't help them in the long run, but they tamed that mistress and they gave themselves a good chance to play lots of gun rounds. Unfortunately, they couldn't actually put anything together with those gun rounds, but I was impressed to see them do that.
Would it be fair to suggest that one of the other problems for Flipside was, coming back to what we said before, Blade at the top of the scoreboard? If Blade is at the top of the scoreboard for Flipside, you know something's going wrong, right? You suggested that you have to have those individuals, such as World Edit, delivering.
It's true, but it's also mostly because of that 4K round that he got that was on the T side. I mean, it's not just that. In my opinion, they were completely beaten as a team. Cloud9 really countered their setups on the CT side. You could see in that first gun round, it's hard. It's a good execute. A lot of smokes, molotovs in the bomb side. There's not that many places where you can hide. Ideally, you would let them get control of the side, because they spend a lot of their utility, then maybe get a kill or two while they're pushing through the smokes to get up close and personal, then play the retakes, right? But you can't know that. You can't know which execute they're going to run. So the two players in the Bob side die straight away. Easy round for Cloud9. Same thing happens in the second gun round. You know, at that point, you're down 7-0. It's really hard to get anything going at that point.
Spirals out of control. Chad,
Yeah, more on what Yanko was saying. They brute forced their way in early, which set the precedence. They were playing mind games at that point. Then they could start playing nice and slow Counter-Strike and bait out the utility from Flipside, and then they could just execute onto sites and take duels.
So much love as well from every single player to the crowd already. I mean, we're into just our second game here at the DreamHack Zowie Open Bucharest, and already there's a lot of love.
It's also funny, I mean, that, you know, Skadoodle, the primary opera of the team, map like Train, we saw how it can, you know, it had mixed influence. He did win that great clutch, but he was like, he had the negative KDA, and they were still...
Clutch?
I mean, yeah.
It was a clumsy clutch.
Do you mean what, the molly?
Oh, jeez.
Fair enough. I mean, the molly saved the day, but the point being that even with him underperforming in the game, they still had a really dominant win, which tells you that it's just, it was really a team effort.
Well, practice definitely did make perfect, or rather preparation did certainly help Cloud9 in that victory. They came back to train and they did it very convincingly. It does seem like the desk, or at least the casting desk, has Cloud9 down as a favorite now to see how to go ahead and climb through at that group stage. Let's have a look at that group bracket now just to make sense of it all, as they've already made a very big statement. 16-4 as we do bring those groups up so you can kind of digest what we've seen so far. Just two best of ones played out so far. You can see VP holding happy in the upper bracket, Gambit down in the lowers, and as we venture into Group B, you'll be able to see what we did just slot a team into that upper bracket. Will be none other than Cloud9 who secured that, and then you see Flipside now waiting in that lower bracket. One more best of one to play to see if they will be going home bright and early. Our next game was over in towards the Group A. You get to see Heroic versus Envy up next, and that should propose to be a rather intriguing one. In fact, in Chad's words, do you think this might be the game of the day?
Yeah, for the opening matches, definitely.
Yeah.
I think for the first round, this one's the most exciting because we've seen how the rise of Heroic lately, and I'm a bit of an Envy fan. I like the French, and I want to see them play well. So this, for me, is going to be an exciting match.
It is going to be an exciting
is this
match.
Where I get scorned, where I put my faith in someone.
You know, pre-game we have the girlfriend analogy. Now he likes the French.
Hey, we've had girlfriend, we've had mistress. I mean, there's something going on in the Australian corner of this very large desk. We love him dearly, but Chad suggests this is going to be a good one, so do stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, and while we do head to a break, a little walkthrough of how to use the Score eSports application. So check it out, and we'll be back with your third game.